In this tangled web, every detail might crack the case wide open.
Coincidental, but I gotta tell you, the number one thing that Annie and Tommaso didn't tell Savannah was that there was blood at the front door. Did they leave that out on purpose to tell her when she got there? Or maybe they just didn't even want to repeat that because they know who directly caused it. And yes, that damn Matt's still out there, guys. All right, you're gonna hide from JLR. Hey, have you seen JLR out there, Tucson girl? But the other perps involved in taking Nancy's are pissed. Porch guy for showing his partial face and sticking the light in his mouth. He may bring down the whole gang, and I hope so. That's what we can hope for. I know Lucas does too. Oh, they said the back doors were propped open. I assure you, that porch guy, when he rolled up, he was like, "Hey man, open the door." It's not in my opinion, that's what his body language showed me, that he was going to hit on the door and trying to get in. Now, after that, he had to walk around unless they opened the door for him, which we don't know. JLR went home for now. Okay. All right. Tommaso was in Italy growing his stuff back, maybe. I don't know. All right. Let's talk about the DNA because, in my opinion, that's the only hope we have alongside finding Nancy's body. And I hate even saying that, but
doorways, handles, light switches, or anything nearby in the area where the suspect is stationary inside, wherever. Now, there's a moment in this case that didn't get enough attention, and it should have. The second that we saw that flashlight in the suspect's mouth, that should have triggered something in the very early stages of this investigation, and every investigator watching should have picked up on this, because now we're not just looking at movement, we're looking at a biological transfer. That suspect may have adjusted the flashlight in his mouth. He may have dropped it and had to pick it up. He at some point he removed it, and he probably had to reposition it. Every one of those actions, it's a potential DNA drop point. And here's the reality: DNA, it's not visible to the naked eye. You don't just see it. You have to know where to look to find it. And this is where experience matters. A crime scene isn't just processed; it's read. You have to read a crime scene. Investigators, they don't just walk through a home randomly, swabbing things.
You got to read a crime scene. I love his voice. All right. How wasn't there more attention being given to her connection with Epstein? There probably is, Rebel Princess. I'm imagining that some of the sleuths, there's a channel called Web Sleuths and things like that. I just can't go there with that in this case. It just seems far-fetched to me, but it's a possibility. We've talked about it, and it's not the biggest thing for me. I just don't think that. Based on the family's behavior, I believe they saw something from the inside cameras. I agree. It's 9 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. What is the 9 o'clock update coming? Is there a 9 o'clock update coming? Because it's 9:03 on the East Coast. It's 6:03 here on the West Coast. All right, let's continue. I love his accent. It's cool. Yeah, and the Epstein files, I'm not covering that because it's just too much. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible. The things that they did to those girls and the women. Ugh.
Things. They have to reconstruct behavior, and they have to ask these questions. Where did the suspect pause at? Where did they hesitate? Where did they interact with objects inside the house? Where were they stationary long enough to leave something behind? Now, if that suspect had something in their mouth, you better believe that experienced investigators are thinking to themselves now, where would saliva have built up at? Where would it have dropped? Where would it have transferred? Because that's where your case actually lives, especially in a case like this where you don't have a lot of.
And we may not ever know because they botched it from the beginning. All right. Love that main Rebel Princess, Alana Joyce Pink Pony Club. It's 8:03 here. All right. I'll check if there's an update, guys. Definitely let me know and we'll put it on. There has not been an update for days. Now, that's interesting that you heard a Bitcoin was paid because they're putting the word out there not to pay a dime, nobody to pay a dime. All right. Alana says it's 11:04 a.m. and you're in Australia. What's up? I love the people that are in the future. Be jealous because I thought only ghetto people are dysfunctional. Can educated people be jealous? Yeah, of course. I was actually going to call this inside the family dysfunctional family dynamics, but I decided not to. All right. They're in the future.
Physical evidence here. They're depending now on the DNA evidence, and this is why it matters in a case like this. Now, here's where this case really gets complicated. We're not talking about clean DNA. We're talking about mixed DNA samples.
That needs
We've been hearing a lot about this in the news and on these channels. You know, mixed DNA that could be coming from multiple people. And this means that there were multiple contributors to this, overlapping profiles, contamination possibilities. And that's where cases either get solved or they just fall apart. Because now the question becomes, who does the DNA belong to? Is it family, workers, or visitors, or is it the suspect? That's why investigators, they rely on something called elimination DNA.
All right, and we're going to talk about that. I love learning about DNA and the connections to it and how genetic genealogy works. I'm so for it. Now, I saw earlier that there was a camera out there. Somebody found like a trail cam in the beginning of this case, maybe a couple weeks in, and law enforcement has hold of it, which means what are we missing? What don't we know about? What haven't we seen? I don't get it. But also, did anybody hear about what happened to Savannah Guthrie today during the show? Were you guys watching the show? She was talking to Anne Hathaway on the show, and she was having a conversation. And when the commercial cut, she didn't return. Hoda returned. So people find it odd that she, or maybe something happened. So you guys are talking about a possible press conference, but Savannah was in the middle of an interview and they took a break and she cut out and never came back on today. So people are speculating that something happened and that she might know more about that. All right. So keep that in mind for today. That literally happened this morning today.
This is critical. Investigators, they must collect DNA from family members. They have to collect DNA from anyone that had access to this home. The workers, the landscapers, contractors in and out around this home. Why? I mean, you need to remove them from the equation. Only then does the unknown DNA start to stand out. But if that wasn't done early, now you've got a real big problem, because every additional person, it all adds noise to the data now. And noise creates doubt. And doubt, unfortunately, kills cases in court. Let's talk about something that most people ignore: the chain of custody. Very important in a criminal case.
All right. We don't really need to talk about the chain of custody. We know we need to get rid of nanos. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So the DNA that we need is the DNA that allegedly they collected. All right. And I hope that they're doing this case justice by getting it into the genetic genealogy stage. Saturday, 20 minutes outside, waiting to see if anyone noticed him at the door on the camera, then felt like it was okay. That's interesting, because where did he come from? Where do you think he came from? Let me show you this so you guys can take a look at this for yourselves tomorrow. All right. So this was Annie on the Today Show. Where did she go during this morning's episode of the Today Show? She introduced Anne Hathaway, and before the show cut to commercial, and when it returned, she was gone. Let me just show you real quick.
Girl, right? I am the luckiest girl right here. I've got Miss Anne Hathaway right here, Mother Mary herself. She has got a sneak peek at her new movie, and we have to put a little bit about Double Orange Prada too, just a teeny tiny little bit. Okay, it's the year of Anne Hathaway, but first, this is today on NBC.
All right, now they're going to cut back
and doing things in great prices. Full display in one of her very early roles, 2004's beloved Ella Enchanted.
All right, so Coda took over it. They do have a code word. There was a code word that if she needed to dip out, something got too hard, she got a weird phone call, that there would be a code word for Savannah to get off and let somebody else step in. So keep that in mind, all right? Okay, so is this going to happen at another time? Which one? What do you mean? Maybe Savannah needed a timeout. Yeah, it could, but there people are talking about a possible press conference today. If that's the case, I wonder if there's some kind of update on something. And of course, we're not going to know until it's solved. But guys, you got to admit it is the right thing to do to keep Nancy Guthrie's name out there and not let this die down at this point right now. Now, of course, I'm not covering it every day. I think at this point, I've gone every other day, sometimes every 3 days, because I do feel like she needs the coverage. I do feel like these people that are offering to come out and help with DNA or to help with searches, why aren't they? I just can't get it. I can't fathom why they're not using those resources. Yeah, I don't know about the press conference. I actually did not hear about it, but I'm going to tell you I'm looking at it behind the scenes, and if anyone else has it, please do send it over because I'd love to see that. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to look for you guys. I'm going to look real quick, but I do want to show you some of this. It's much more interesting than the one I showed you. And there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now in this case that hasn't come out on the news yet. So I'm finding that in different little areas. Look at this real quick while I look for that. It's interesting. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We don't need to.
I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert. And today we're going to be building a profile of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper. Before we get started, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is
Yep, we know. We know.
with this individual with his head bent down, likely trying to avoid if there's any chance that there is a camera above this archway, because that would be a common place to put a security camera. And obviously, if you watch the way this person is walking, it seems clear to me that this is a male. Now, right there, they just caught that there is a Nest Cam. Now, the reason they didn't know this is because the Nest Cam looks unusual. That's part of the reason why I don't think that this is someone who has intimate familiarity with this house.